What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we're going to be doing the video I've been eyeing to do for a little while now. Today I'll be making my predictions on the future of my home airport, the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. Various elements such as airlines, aircraft types, and routes will all be predicted in this video, so let's get started. The Sioux Falls Regional Airport is currently undergoing a development plan to expand on their current airline terminal. Opened in 1970 as the Costello Terminal, it was built with a single pier and had up to 9 gates. It replaced the old facility on the south side of the airport, which had become overcrowded in later years because of the increasing demand in air travel. The new terminal now had dedicated areas for ticket counters, security, and holding areas for a more smooth passenger experience. Over the years, the Costello Terminal has been renovated to keep up with the times, with the most recent renovations being completed in 2015, which updated the main lobby area and added a 4-story, 70-room hotel for business travelers. Here's the current layout of the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. The current terminal layout has 7 gates. Gate 1 is used between Allegiant, Delta, and Frontier. Gate 2 is used predominantly by Delta for their Delta Connection flights. However, from what I've observed, this gate gets the least usage. Gate 3 is used between Allegiant and American. Gate 4 is used by Delta predominantly for their mainline flights. Gate 5 is used predominantly by American. And Gates 6 and 7 are used by United and United Express flights. Increased demand in air travel following the pandemic has also seen interest in new services being added, not just in Sioux Falls but around the country. However, with only 7 gates at the Sioux Falls Regional Airport, we've essentially reached capacity and will need to expand. This is the terminal design that was chosen and unveiled in March of 2023 at an open house event in Sioux Falls. 2 new piers will be constructed. The current one will be expanded to fit more gates, and a new one on the south end of the current facility will be built. With this expansion, the airport will double the number of gates available to 14, increasing capacity for existing airlines and possibly allow new airlines to start service in the future. With the help of a couple friends, I've gone ahead and assembled what is essentially a fictional Sioux Falls Airport update, meant to predict the possible future routes that the airport may receive in the future. Once again, I should emphasize that this is a fictional update and meant to be just for fun. Any combination of routes, airlines, or aircraft predicted in this video that would accurately represent future services is purely coincidental. Let's get to predicting. And welcome to the future of FSD. So this is basically my rendition of the current rendering that they have for their master plan for terminal expansion at the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. So it's not the best looking layout in the world, I know, but this is closely accurate to what they have on the website and what I've shown earlier in this video. So got quite a bit of interesting airlines here, and I know there's a couple that we don't have, and I'll explain about those here in just a few minutes. But we're going to go ahead and get started over here at what I'm going to call the A pier in this case, assuming that that's the gate numbering system that they're going to go with. So we'll start off right here at Gate Alpha 1, right here with this Frontier aircraft. Frontier likely going to get just this one gate here, but it's very likely that they could get more gates in the future. I do continue seeing them operate on the Denver service. It is possible that they could add new services because previously they did have Orlando International and Las Vegas, but those have since been discontinued for unknown reasons. I did not hear as to why they were discontinued. I don't even know when they were discontinued, actually, because all I recall is that they were on the flight schedule 1 month, and then after maybe a month or 2, they were gone. So whatever happened with those schedules, or with those routes rather, I don't know. Moving on over here, we've got ourselves a pair of Allegiant aircraft. So this is A3 and A5. Those are our 2 gates for Allegiant. And I definitely see them expanding at some point in the future, possibly adding Destin. I think that's one of their top destinations that they don't have just yet. Would love to see that kind of service come in from Allegiant in the future. And the reason why I gave Allegiant 2 gates is because of the number of routes that they have, and I can name them off here on my route map that I have drawn up here. So right now they have all of them, most of them are seasonal, but some of them are year-round. We've got Las Vegas, Los Angeles, we had Orange County at one point, San Diego, Phoenix Mesa, Austin, Nashville, Punta Gorda, and St. Petersburg, Fort Lauderdale, and also Orlando Sanford. So those are all the Allegiant services that we have at this very moment, and I think Destin will be one of their new additions that they will get in the short term, possibly even before that this terminal expansion goes under construction. but if not, then it will possibly be sometime after that. And I do anticipate that after this terminal expansion is completed, they may very well add more services that I can't think of right now. Maybe a couple more Florida routes and maybe some other routes from across the country. Maybe something on the East Coast, but I don't know for sure. And it's really hard to tell what Allegiant's going to do next. One of the airlines that I'm most looking forward to getting here in Sioux Falls is Breeze. Breeze is definitely an airline that we could benefit with here in Sioux Falls because I think our market fits perfectly for them because we're like that third tier market, if you will. I know Breeze has expressed interest in starting service to Rapid City at one point. It doesn't look like those talks have progressed any further, unfortunately. So it is possible that they could start service in South Dakota at some point, whether it's there or here in Sioux Falls. But nevertheless, I do see them starting with Tampa, maybe. Tampa's definitely been one that I've talked about quite a bit amongst just a small group of friends and what they think. They definitely agree, so I think Tampa would definitely be a good start for them. They could add another route as well. I'm thinking maybe between Norfolk or Charleston, either one of those two, but I don't think those would last as long, nor would be flown as frequently. So I think here with Tampa, they could definitely do like twice or thrice weekly on that. So hopefully that is the case when Breeze eventually does come to Sioux Falls. And I think there's a good chance that they will in the future. So I just think that our market fits them really, really well, and they could definitely benefit from us being here. Now, why do I have JetBlue over here? Well, I figured I would try and make a bit of a long shot prediction. This is not something that I 100% expect to happen at any point in time. I just kind of threw this in here because I think, maybe this could happen, but 99% likely that this won't. So I think perhaps if we do get something to the East Coast, JetBlue may take care of it. So this would be from New York JFK, or it could be Boston. But I think New York is most likely, just because that's kind of their main flagship airport, if you will. Whereas Boston is just kind of that one of their other main airports, but New York is like that big main base for them. So overall, I think JetBlue could come at some point, but if they do, it's not going to be a short-term thing. I would expect that to be more of a long-term thing. So either way, I could definitely see them coming maybe in 10, 15 years maybe. Might be a bit too far down the road, but who knows? Only time will tell. One of the other things I forgot to mention is that this gate right here, I do predict that something like this gate could be used as an overflow gate. So in the event that, say, we have a lot of Allegiant planes on the ground, they may move one of these planes over to like this gate or something, or perhaps use one of the other gates as like a common use gate. So kind of like what we have right now with a number of our gates being used between airlines. So that is a very likely possibility if the routes do continue to expand out of FST. And then right over here we have our Delta section. So this is gate A7 and then B2 over here. Not very likely that this kind of setup could happen, but this is close to what we have today with the current layout of FST. So today this is gate 2, and then right in this area would be gate 4. So I just have my Delta 320 and 319s over here. I haven't talked too much about the aircraft type specifically, so I'll just kind of try and quickly hit on those here just to briefly mention. So let's go back over to Frontier. I definitely see them continuing to use the 320s, and then I could see the 321s coming in a very big way from Denver in the long term, but we'll have to see what happens with that. And then Breeze, I definitely see them using the 220 at some point, but if not, I think they could start with a 195 and then later on go to the A220, depending on how something like Tampa would do, for instance. And I think with Delta right here, I could see them potentially sending something a bit larger on a more regular basis, so something like a 321, or maybe do something a little different, like bring back the 717 or even the 737-800, maybe a 739, possibly. But I think for right now, the Airbuses are going to stay in the short term, but in the long term, I could see them upgrading to a larger aircraft. As we continue along, we have our American section, so I have them parked here at what I'm going to call gates B1 and B3, so right over there, there's the second American aircraft. And I think American is very likely to upgauge their mainline stuff if they do continue with this in the short term, because as of right now, this is only going to go through till December at the latest with Dallas, and then November for Charlotte, which is going to come back in September. So whatever the case may be, I do see American perhaps upgrading the mainline stuff to something like this, a 320, or perhaps something a little bit bigger, maybe like a 738 or an A321 in the long term, depending on the demand. United here also has a pair of gates in my fictional scenario here. I have them here at gates, what I'm going to call B4 and B6, which is close to where they're currently occupying the current facility. So right over here would be gate 6, and then at this end would be gate 7. So I just kind of have them sitting here because that's pretty close to where they are occupying right now. And my assumption is that a lot of the airlines would like to stay where they are currently occupying, or as close to where they were as possible when this new terminal expansion opens. Now, with United, I do see them maybe adding a couple new services in the future. Houston is most likely, and I could also see them doing San Francisco as well. Both of those would likely start on a 175, so for United Express. And then if those services do well, if the flights are regularly sold out in advance, then I could see them doing mainline, perhaps a 319 or a 737-700, or maybe even a 320, something larger, if they do really, really well. So just all depends on how that goes, but I think if they want to add San Fran or Houston Intercontinental, they would start with a United Express aircraft. Another popular addition for Sioux Falls would definitely have to be Southwest. I could see them coming to Sioux Falls at some point, and I know that the airport has been trying to get Southwest to come here in the past, but as of right now, they haven't really had too much luck because our airport's kind of small right now. But I think in more recent years, they have had a little bit better luck convincing them, but nothing has really come through just yet. And I think once this expansion gets done, I could see Southwest coming here. And I think some of the services that they could try would be Denver, so that would compete with United and Frontier. Perhaps Dallas Love Field to try and maybe lure some of the traffic away from American to DFW, but that's just purely speculation there. And then maybe St. Louis on a seasonal basis, I could see them doing that as well. Or possibly something in Florida, so maybe like Orlando International, or maybe Tampa if Breeze doesn't take up on that if they do come here. But whatever the case may be, I could definitely see them doing something at one of their established hubs, so like Denver or Dallas, or even maybe Chicago Midway if they want to go that road as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for Southwest to come here, but what they choose first is anyone's guess, even mine. So, but I think if I had to pick one that I have written down right now, I would say possibly Denver. I think Denver is most likely to come first once Southwest begins operations here. And that is everything that I have here for my vision of the future of the Sioux Falls Regional Airport. So again, all of this is completely fictional. I could be right on some of these. I could be wrong on all of them, as a matter of fact. And I could expect that this layout could even change in a couple years' time. So if they have a bit of a redesign of the terminal layout, whatever the case may be, it's very likely that something like that could happen in the future. So right now, there's no construction on this. They are still working on like the development stuff, which looks like that's going really smoothly, so that's great to see. And I would expect construction to start in the next few years if they're able to get all the funding and all that good stuff. So possibly 2026 is when they could start this, and I would see this getting done if they are to start by that point. The latest I see that being done is by 2030. So 2029, 2030 is kind of when I would expect that to be done if they are to get started with construction by 2026, which is when I graduate college. So there's a good reference point for you to work with if you want to sort of get an idea as to how long this will be yet before any of this could happen. It's also very likely that some of these new services could come well before the terminal expansion happens, but I think a lot of like the major new services from like the new carriers, so you know you're talking Breeze or Southwest, I don't think they're going to come until after the terminal expansion is done, just because there isn't enough space right now for airlines to grow and new airlines to come in. So I definitely think that those carriers won't come in until at least whenever the terminal expansion stuff is officially announced and they have a timetable on when everything will be done. So then perhaps we'll then see those carriers express more interest and officially announce new services. But overall, I think that's how everything is going to be set up with FSD. So feel free to come back to this video in maybe 5 years' time if this is still around and see what I got right, see what I got wrong, and I'll probably make my own videos in 5 years and 10 years and see if I can figure out, you know, what I got right, what I got wrong, all that good stuff, and see what the airport is like at those stages. So, with that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.